man by the name of Hutch opens the story. He is being questioned by the FBI while seated in front of them. "Who are you really?" they question him. The narrative then shifts somewhat backward. Hutch kills people. He lives in chaos, finishing tasks and eliminating targets all day long. He is becoming increasingly estranged from his family nevertheless as a result of this life. Even though his wife, Becca, waits for him at dinner every night, Hutch rarely arrives home in time. Becca is going to text him one evening with the words, "We need to talk." She stops herself, though. Hutch realizes how far he's fallen from his family when he finally gets to spend a day at home. His wife departs for work and his children leave for school. He is reminded by Becca that summer vacation is quickly approaching. Hutch concurs, saying, "As a family, we ought to take action. Let's go somewhere. I have an assignment today, so I'll make the plan first." Becca hesitates once more when she wants to say more. Hutch departs for his task. Although his goal is to steal something, it takes much longer than anticipated. Barber, his handler, asks him, "What took you so long? It was intended to be a straightforward grab and snatch." Hutch clarifies, "I had to remove everyone off the elevator first. Another gang with firearms was waiting outside once I had their keycard. According to Barber, I figured there'd be one or two other parties interested in this." In response, Hutch says, "Not just one or two, 3 were present." Hutch had to deal with a Brazilian gang brandishing machetes after eliminating the shooter, but he defeated them all by himself. Barber dismisses it. "It doesn't really matter. The task was completed. You recently received an $800,000 reduction in your $30 million debt." You see, Hutch has been paying back the debt he caused by burning a Russian gangster's money some time ago, but he claims he needs a vacation. "This job is in your nature, and nature always wins," Barber says, wishing him success. After that, we see Hutch recalling an advertisement he saw while battling those thugs. It was for Plummerville, a location. He plays an introductory video for his family about this amusement park, which has water slides and rides. "This place has everything," says Hutch. "Grandpa will adore it as well." However, the children lose interest when they learn that Grandpa would also be there. "This is the only place I went as a kid," explains Hutch. "I was brought here by my father. I want to take everyone together just once." His entire family concurs after hearing this. They pick up David, Hutch's father. Prior to boarding the vehicle, he must extinguish his cigarette. "Plummerville is reached by the family. They discover, however, that the water park is closed for the day as they approach it." They receive coupons for hot dogs instead. Hutch recalls his childhood meals at the hot dog stand with his brother Harry. However, the local sheriff is currently occupying the same seat. "What are you looking at?" he calls out to Hutch. Tension starts to build between them. After eating his hot dogs, Hutch sits down with his family. They go to the arcade to play some games once they finish eating. Brady generously offers a bunch of local females the tickets he gets, but one of the girls' boyfriends objects. He expects an apology from Brady for something that he did not even do. To make matters worse, the boy destroys Hutch's daughter's treasure, Sammy's toy. When Brady confronts him, a brawl ensues. The manager of the arcade takes over. Hutch makes an effort to soothe everyone. The manager slaps little Sammy on the head as they are leaving, despite Becca's insistence that they simply leave. For Hutch, that goes too far. He goes back inside, where he shows everyone who he truly is and what he is capable of. Hutch eliminates them one by one before slapping the arcade manager in the head. However, the authorities brought Hutch's entire family in for interrogation as a result of what he did. "What you did back there was awesome," Brady remarked to his father as they sat side by side. However, that was not how Hutch saw it. The sheriff then escorted Hutch inside his office. There, seated in the sheriff's chair, was a man named Wyatt. The boy from the arcade and the entire town were under Wyatt's authority. He was the son of Wyatt. During the altercation, Brady had hurt the boy's pitching arm. Hutch calmly retorted, "My daughter was smacked by one of those males. What would you have done if you had been me?" Wyatt released Hutch after hearing this. However, the sheriff discreetly issued some new directives to his officers. Rebecca snapped at Hutch back at the hotel. "Why did you let your other side show?" she stated. "Your son is already becoming too aggressive." Suspecting that Hutch had brought something hazardous, she inquired as to what was in his work bag. However, there was just a bottle of wine inside. The location where Hutch and Rebecca had first met was the source of this particular wine. Becca grew softer, gave him a hug, and they started conversing. "I knew who you really were from the first time I met you," she told him. "You had blood all over you." The family played more games the following day. David, meanwhile, remained at his former lodge. At that moment, Hutch saw a policeman surreptitiously photographing them. The same officer returned later, this time accompanied by a gang of thugs, when they were on a duckboat ride. Hutch hurried his family onto a boat, but he chose not to go with them. He claimed to have an unsettled stomach. He went on to another boat instead. Hutch was followed onto the boat by the police. However, the officer and his men had to maintain their act when more tourists began to board. The officer leaned in after the boat sailed away and said, "We told you to leave." Then Hutch was attacked by the goons. None of the tourists noticed the altercation that broke out in the center of the moving boat. They were too preoccupied with enjoying the ride and donning headphones. The officers used a knife to slit Hutch's finger during the altercation, completely removing it. As the severed finger dropped into the water, a fish ingested it. When the goons saw that Hutch was no typical tourist, they threw him overboard. Hutch wasn't done, though. Anger-filled, he re-entered the boat and gave it his all. He broke the officer's face and disassembled each thug one by one. Hutch called his brother Harry after making his getaway. He informed him about Plummerville and how, although he had returned, the place wasn't as welcoming as he had remembered. Harry explained that's because it's an old trade route. We weren't on vacation when Dad took us there. He led us there to finish a task. He further mentioned that the syndicate was collaborating with the local police. Wyatt and the sheriff were getting ready to ship out some stuff in the meanwhile. He received a clear warning from Wyatt. Don't cause any trouble. However, one of the sheriff's officers called him at that very moment. That man isn't just a tourist, he remarked. Hutch questions Barber, his handler, about Plummerville right away. He hears the truth from the barber. Lendina is the woman in charge of that location. Lendina was a vicious person who was never able to accept defeat. She didn't live long with anyone who cost her money. Plummerville was essential to her company. Before things get out of hand, Barbara suggests that Hutch defuse the situation. Wyatt receives a call from Lendina in the interim. Wyatt intended to complete the shipment and sever his relationship with her, since upon delivery, his father's whole debt would be settled. Lendina, however, didn't think so. This debt, in her opinion, would never be paid off. She instructed the sheriff to remind Wyatt of the true boss over the phone. She said, "Bring me something he loves most." In retaliation, the sheriff abducts Wyatt's son, Max. He intends to give Lendina the boy. However, before it can occur, Hutch appears. "I'll burn everything down right here, and if anything happens to the shipment, Lendina herself will destroy you," Hutch warns the sheriff, setting a fire. He adds, "Leave my family alone, and I won't do anything." The sheriff initially objects, but after considering the danger, he grudgingly accepts. Hutch looks at Max as he turns to go, and he quietly begs for assistance. Hutch can't bring himself to leave the youngster, so he makes himself get up and leave, getting into his car. He backs off. Hutch fights everyone as he charges in. A lamp was struck by a couple stray bullets during the conflict. The sparks fall into the gasoline that Hutch had already spilled. The neighboring explosives were set on fire as the flames swiftly spread. Everything is destroyed as a huge blast rips through the area. Lendina is incensed to learn that her entire shipment has been destroyed. She also finds out that the guilty man is remaining here with his family. "Bring every soldier you can," the sheriff warns as he phones her as well. Hutch and his family reassemble at David's former lodge in the interim. Brady and Max finally turn to face one another and shake hands to release their tension. However, Becca is not content. Hutch hears her say, "You promised me." Remorseful, Hutch declares, "I have no control over this. You ought to leave me and take the kids." Becca, however, shakes her head. "You are the father of my children and my spouse. Whatever occurs, get this fixed." When Hutch hears that, he immediately approaches Wyatt. Without paying attention, Wyatt strikes Hutch as soon as he sees him. He believes Hutch set fire to the entire ship, but Hutch rebuffs him and tells him the truth. Wyatt finds out that his son was saved by Hutch. Then Wyatt exposes Lendina's true level of risk. It was she who killed his father. Hutch is warned by Wyatt that Lendina is cruel and heartless, and that she will undoubtedly arrive. Lendina was en route with a whole army that was committed to killing Hutch. Together, Hutch and Wyatt empty the water park after Wyatt shows him his arsenal of weaponry. They would fight Lendina on this battlefield. Harry arrives to assist his brother at that same moment. In addition, Hutch releases a wolf dog from its prison, releasing yet another destructive tool. They start laying traps across the theme park. Everywhere you look are lethal surprises, guns and bombs. Lendina's warriors arrive in town in the meantime. They come across Hutch's father's former cabin while traveling. Lendina gives one of her guys the command to ensure that nobody inside lives. The whole Hutch family is together in that lodge. The dart gun is spotted by Becca. She gives it to her son and advises him to maintain his strength before slipping away to take part in the battle. The sheriff is the first to face Hutch. He says, "From now on, I'll be running this town, not Wyatt." He insists that Wyatt and Hutch give up their firearms and accompany him. Wyatt then sets off the traps he had placed. Hutch uses the amusement park's rides, attractions, and entire layout as weapons. Gunfire reverberates, explosions tear through the grounds, and mayhem breaks out. When Hutch bursts into the mirror chamber, the troops are unable to distinguish between reflection and reality. When they least anticipate it, he drops bombs there. More soldiers are drawn by Wyatt into a ball pit where concealed landmines are waiting. Wyatt then sustains a bullet wound to his leg. As the troops approach to kill him, they set off yet another lethal trap. Hutch kills a soldier by sending him hurtling down a water slide. His father, David, uses a machine gun with deadly accuracy to murder others. However, a second contingent of Linda's warriors arrives close to the lodge. Harry confronts them directly. Lendina's best fighter will soon be the only one left. He engages Harry in a one-on-one sword duel. Before killing him, Harry cuts through his gun and his sword. One soldier manages to enter the lodge again, but Brady, Hutch's son, defeats him. Harry gives the boy a smile. "Your dad would be proud of you, Brady." After that, Hutch finally meets Lendina in person. He is overpowered by the two fighters she sends against him. Sneering, Lendina says, "Now you will lose everything." She gives the command for her fighters to kill Hutch. Then all of a sudden there are gunshots. Both fighters are killed when Wyatt fires from behind. Lendina is furious and throws a knife at Wyatt, severing his body. She then goes in to murder Hutch, but Rebecca gets there before she can. She kills Lendina for good by shooting the dart gun directly into her eye. As more of Lendina's soldiers arrive, David sets off every device they had previously hidden. The park bursts into flames. Hutch and Becca avoid the explosions by jumping into the pool. Becca draws him in close and gives him a kiss beneath the waves. We now go back to the starting point. Sitting in an interrogation room are Hutch and Becca. However, a phone call is received before the FBI can take further action. The agents are forced to release both of them right away after hearing the orders. This is where the movie ends. To ensure you never miss any updates on new videos, kindly click the bell icon and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.